pee-pee here.
Footprints all everywhere.
Yeah. Kind of sad I still didn't make my snow angel. I didn't know it was so difficult to make one.
Oh, I'm thinking you talking about a full snowman.
Oh,
Snow angels are the easy things.
oh my gosh. Okay. But we were able to make that. Well, there was already a snowman made, and we were able to add on to it. And Mamacita taught me how to actually roll a snowman or snowball and to form a bigger one. And so I learned that the gloves are the trick. So these gloves might work, but the ones I had on yesterday were cotton, and so they were taking off the snow versus helping form the snow. So that was fun and exciting because I was upset. I was like, cartoons lied about the snow. It is not what they said it was. But her forming that snowball was perfect because I was getting very sad at the fact that my perception of snow could have been completely wrong.
Yourself like in a moment where you were just like overwhelmed and had too much like responsible things to do, like things that you had to do that was like on you.
Are you asking how I deal with it? How I dealt with it? Or are you asking what was I going through?
Yeah, like do you have like a moment where you felt like you had a lot of quizzes to do or just a lot of errands to run in a certain amount of time?
Yeah, I remember those days working 2 jobs, going to school full time, and the anxiety goes high. But I'm not gonna lie, there is a such thing as good anxiety, and I feel like a lot of people don't talk about that a lot. That good stress, that good anxiety can push you and propel you to go forward, and it it makes you want to excel in those areas of life, and it doesn't necessarily have to hold you back. So it's definitely just about a balance. Thank God that I got through those quizzes and work and staying up late studying. I'm here now. So that's what I have to say.
So in those positions though, how do you think it would have been trying to meditate? What type of thoughts do you think you would have had?
You know what? I'm glad you asked that question because as I've been meditating for over a year now, as well as journaling, it has changed my life for the best. And I wish that I heard about meditation. I downloaded some apps, but I didn't really find my groove into it. It didn't really connect, and it didn't really stick to me as it sticks now. And if I had someone that was really meditating to have that real life example, maybe that would have got me into meditation earlier. I just have to say sometimes I do wish that I started sooner.
But based on how and what you know about meditation now, what kind of thoughts do you think you would have had at that time while you were meditating?
Ooh, that's another great question. And I would say that those things that I was worried about, if it was quizzes, if it was gas, if it was bills, that at the end of the day, everything's going to be okay. It's not necessarily the end of the world, even though it felt like it was the end of the world. I think I would have had more control and anxiety, anxious thoughts, and just all of those negative, icky feelings that we experience.
I really like how you said that because in reality, I believe every human and everything kind of really hopes that everything's gonna be all right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But the way society is set up, it tries to make it seem like as long as you hit XYZ, everything might be all right. Once everything is all right, then you try to make everything great. So juggling between that stance of being all right and great kind of like falls to how big your margin is between, being good, great, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel if somebody got 2 or 3 jobs plus school, might be hard to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
That type of person might feel like they don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a thing though that I think society has kind of embedded into us that's not good. I feel like you don't have time for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Still though, on the list, snowboarding, gonna hit that up one of these days. I hear it's like falling on concrete though. another one of those myths I think you're kind of bred to believe, that snow is just as fluffy and as soft as you see on TV, that you just like jump into it and hide into it. But nah, these hills kind of thick, and so sometimes it might just be solid, hard enough to give you a concussion. Like the strange thing, interesting thing, is that in the quiet, a lot of times you'd have snow hit other snow that's on tree limbs, and then that topbles over, make you go, what? But other than that, it is a cool place to like let your head get clear though, because in the city, like I said, that goes to another testament of how hard it is to clear your head, because we've kind of been crammed so much things into our head, so much goals, so much tasks, and like the idea of meditating is to like break away from all of that and like kind of forget about it and let it melt away. And that's so hard to do, especially like the more responsible you are. I feel like the more tasks you have, like especially if you have kids, and you know you have to do your routine things, but like, and nature almost like kind of like has no routine. I think like the natural law of order really is disorder. If you think about like how it is, like landscape and all that looks like this because the humans make it easy for themselves. But if nature was left to grow as it usually would, it'd be all type of chaotic based on our standards, right? You know how they say like how they say humans couldn't live without animals and insects, but they could like thrive without us, or the concept that the planet is dying or something, or that the planet needs us. It's like, I mean, it seemed like the planet said it was sick, but the planet don't need nobody. The planet's just, you know, just itself. But like that, for example, all that could be going to somebody's head while they trying to meditate. And it's hard to try to get your mind to get quiet when you got that thought that slips away and just starts thinking about random things, you know? That's the part I feel like I'm probably stuck with when I'm trying to be quiet. And then my brain is using words to communicate to myself that I need to be quiet for some reason. I find that kind of troubling, but it's not as bad as being worried. Being worried, that's one of the things that can suck, especially if you're worried for like a loved one, because you can kind of control the things that's going on with yourself. But when it comes to like someone else or a loved one, especially if they're far, then it kind of be like, you know, things that's out of your control. That's especially detrimental if you're a control freak, which a lot of people are afraid to admit they are. But I try not to be a control freak, even though I do like when things go as planned. I do like when things just go with their natural flow. Like if it's a certain way that was out of my plan, like the spontaneity of things. That's the thing going on. What about you?
You know what? Every day I meditate on this, and it's overcoming that controlling aspect of me, of myself, and I'm definitely getting better. Like you said, I could be a Capricorn thing. I like to stay in control of things, try to have a plan, try to have a schedule. And if I don't, then I feel like I'm out of control. But at the same time, it's also having that randomness, that funness. And so it's honestly just having a balance, because like you told me, there's a song, and some of the lyrics are, I forgot who it's by, but it says, it's funny how we think we're really in control.
Oh,
we're not.
CeeLo.
Yeah.
So, I think you're in control.
But you're not. So just kind of sit back and relax and go with the flow of life, because I think that's really where it's at.
Yeah. But some people can't go with that flow, especially when they're used to being in control. But especially when they're like in the driver's seat and things is all on them. They're used to making those big decisions like, I gotta turn left, because if I don't know which way to turn, we could all be lost. So it's easier for somebody that's like in a passenger seat who don't really got the wheel, you know, who don't have the wheel, who not driving right now, to probably clear their mind, because they might not have nothing to worry about or think about. For example, like how a child goes to sleep compared to an adult goes to sleep. Child might go to sleep quick, might just need to rip and run for a little bit, you know, get tired. And other than that, he's not worried about anything like an adult might be worried about, like bills, or if another child is fed, or if rent is paid. Well, that goes into bills. Or if you got enough leisure money, how good the check gonna be? Did you call off? Did you, you know, that type of stuff. You know, some people's nightmares could be like, you know, waking up too late for work or waking up late for work. If they got that schedule that they don't like, that's real early. They have a hard time getting up. Might have, or especially if they was late 2 times already, and the supervisor might be like, yo, come in late one more time, it's it. They might have a dream like that, you know? The type of dreams I have when I was younger, nightmares, not really nightmares, it's like when I'd go to school without my shoes, you know, embarrassment, that type of thing, nightmares. But as an adult, you're not really worried about embarrassment too much. You're worried about, like, not doing the responsible things that people considered adulting, you know? But as long as you got that down, you know, meditation is a breeze. But that's a lot to get down. I think that's what we're all trying to get down, you know? Making sure we're crushing it in every aspect. But the weird thing about life is that you'll never know if you're truly crushing it. Like, you know? Even billionaires just start getting to pay taxes, but can't compare billionaires to nobody. They got it too easy. Yeah, clearing the mind, things went on the head.
See that tree over there? Looks like it fell.
Almost looks like a little missile, like a launch base.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
it's like a big gun or something.
Big old slingshot or something.
Ready to launch. So yeah, been getting a lot of good sleep lately.
That's great.
But do notice that it's usually like a strong sense of quietness before I do start dreaming. And like, it's like, almost like, I wonder if I could describe it. How could I describe it? Like a type of buzz that happens before I enter a dream. Like, if I'm aware of it right before I dream, it might not happen because it might start off as a scenario that I know is not true. Like, it might have a dog that's like 13 feet, 14 feet tall off the ground. And if I notice it and try to correct it with reality standards, I'll probably think like, you know, it's not, I'll be like, it's not real. And then I wouldn't end up in a dream. So I feel like part of, you know, it's like being in the dream and stuff is like, or get into the dream, it's kind of like, you can't question the randomness. Once you question the randomness, it kind of shows your ties to this place, you know? But one thing that does kind of help and goes with that, meditation, part of like clearing the mind. What are your thoughts on meditation?
Ooh, I'm so glad that you decided to ask me that, because I feel like we're in the perfect scenery to just kind of like experiment with meditation. And everyone finds their own rhythm. So when I'm talking from my perspective and my take on things, and with that being said, like you said, the clearing of the mind is very, very important, because sometimes you can be like, ew, thoughts. Why do I need to be alone with these things? But once you kind of like step back, that's what I feel like meditation is. It's kind of stepping back from yourself, or stepping back from your thoughts, and just kind of, perfect example I heard on Headspace. So look at your thoughts as if you are a passenger or a bystander sitting on the road, and your thoughts are cars driving by. So with that being said, you don't need to go and chase after every car, also every thought that goes by. What's your take on that?
So my thoughts on the random thoughts. Well, I feel it's the same dilemma that many people may have when it comes to trying to meditate. Like, a lot of these thoughts aren't as random as you may seem, depending on your responsibility state. Like, so let's say you're struggling for finals or something, trying to cram in a lot of papers and things like that. Before you go to sleep or when you try to meditate, you might have the sense of, oh, I got this exam on my mind, I gotta make sure I get this amount of sleep. You might have responsibilities, right? Compared to a person with minimal responsibilities, especially if your responsibilities are like really dire. Like, if you don't meet this deadline, you could be fired. So those type of thoughts could even impact your dreams. Like, pretty sure you had a dream where you was in a situation where like something really bad that was about to happen, like, that you try to avoid with all costs. Like, for example, let's say you had rent that was due and you didn't pay the rent and then you were getting evicted, or if someone unfavorable was, you know, moving in or something like that, and you're like, wait, this would never happen, but how did they get in? You know, that type of thing. So those thoughts might happen when you meditate. But you have to, you know, like you said you can't address all of them.
You can't, yeah, kind of like they're like cars driving by, and you can't chase. Well, you can chase if you want to after every vehicle that goes by, but isn't that exhausting? So you pick and choose. In other words, pick and choose which thoughts you want to run after. Once again, going back, if you are sitting on the side of the road and your passenger or person that stands by, pedestrian, thank you, a pedestrian that stands by and watch all these vehicles that go by. So, like I said, it'll be very exhausting if you decide to run after each and every car. So, very important to select which thoughts that you want to address. Also, I want to add that in the process of meditation, and you do come across those cringeworthy thoughts, try pouring love onto the situation. And when I say that, I mean, like, mentally imagine yourself having a glass and that cringy thought pops up, because I know that does take place in meditation, and say, you know what, it's okay, I love myself anyways, and pour that love onto that situation. That has